Hey everyone, this is Brian Drury of Overcoming Graduation, here today to bring you a quick message on how you can memorize a speech without notes. Most people are terrified of putting down their notes and speaking, but I'm going to share a quick tip today on how you can not only do that, but do it easily, speak better, connect better, and have much better reactions from your audience. Because most people are so reliant on their notes and they're terrified to put them down. They think that if they don't say exactly the right words in exactly the right sequence, they'll lose the audience, they'll lose credibility. And so most people that have notes spend most of their time doing this, checking down, and then they make no connection with the audience. They don't have any type of rapport, and they end up sounding really robotic because most people, when they read off of a piece of paper or a note card, just sound like a robot. They don't sound like a person that's sharing information and sharing a story. So here is one of my favorite techniques for being able to memorize a speech, keep it clear in your head, tell your story clearly, but also be able to lean into the emotion and connect with your audience. And here's how you're gonna do it. Now, most people, when they start prepping their speech, they're gonna write it out longhand. Maybe they'll write it out word for word, or they'll write out most of the sentences and the things they wanna say in the order they wanna say it. And part of crafting a speech is that you wanna change things around, you wanna modify, you wanna tweak. But once you get an idea of the rough structure of your speech and kind of the sequence you want it to go in, here's how you can memorize it much faster than just trying to do it line by line. Because here's the thing. Think about if you wrote a 5-page speech and this speech was supposed to take you maybe 15 minutes or 20 minutes. And those 5 pages, imagine having to memorize hundreds or thousands of words. That task is daunting for anybody, even a professional speaker, and that's why pros have their tricks that they use to not need to do that. Imagine if I said you just have to memorize a couple thousand things to be successful at this job, and you went, well, that sounds terrifying and overwhelming. Or if I said, hey, if you remember these 5 things, you can use them to build into any of those other 1,000 possible combinations. You say, great, thank God, that's so much more digestible. So here's how you do it. Once you have your mapped outline, whether that's totally written out word for word, or if that's written out in just a series of sentences, then you want to go through your sentences and look at the key points, the key transitions, and the key storytelling elements within this speech to be able to identify your jump-off points. Because here's the beautiful thing about telling stories. When you tell stories, you don't need to memorize every word. If these stories are from your life, they're things you've experienced or things you know very well, you don't need to have every single word memorized because the story comes from your experience. And having every word memorized, now it starts to become a recitation rather than a speech. You want to be able to speak as if you're telling this story casually with friends. So when you identify your key points, your key bullets, you want to bullet that huge outline down to a couple key points. And even a 10, 20-minute speech, you can get down to maybe 2 to 3 or 4 key bullet points that are all you really need in order to make your transitions. Now, the beauty of this is, maybe you say, but Brian, there's this one sentence I really want to say in a very particular way. This I want to get right. If that's the case, you can put that as a sub-bullet under one of your 4 key bullets. Because when you think about a 10-minute speech, really, you should have maybe 1 or 2 key points. 10 minutes goes real quick when you're on stage, so you want to be able to deliver maximum value with maximum clarity. One of the big problems most people face is they try to cram too much in too short of a time, and they end up overwhelming the audience and the message is unclear. So by doing this, you say, here's my 10-minute speech. Here's my number 1 key takeaway. And then here are my 4 bullets, my 4 storytelling elements that are going to get me there. And then maybe 1 or 2 sub-bullets of very specific things or fun facts I want to include in. Now, once you reduce your speech down to your 4 key bullets and your number 1 key point, you can also review and say, do all of my points build to this 1 key message I'm trying to deliver? And if they don't, maybe I should change out one of these bullets or one of these stories. It's so important to review the content of your speech and be able to say, do all of these points lead to this destination? Do they all link together? Because you want to make sure you're not creating any dissonance in your audience's mind. So once you've gone through, you've taken your long outline, created a couple key bullets with a few sub-bullets, and then reviewed to make sure that they all line up together to your 1 key core message you're going to deliver. Then, when you go to practice, now all you need to do is memorize 4 bullets and 1 point. That way, when you transition, you have 4 key things to remember, knowing that they all link together because you've done the prep work and the rehearsal. Then you can prep so much faster, and here's the beauty, is you can also break it down into chunks. Most people get overwhelmed prepping an hour-long speech. or a 3-hour seminar. How can you prep that? You can't practice 3 hours straight over and over and over. Here's how you do it. You chunk it down. I've done multiple hour seminars, hour-long speeches. I've done 10-minute talks. I've done all different lengths. And the way you do this is by chunking into these bulleted sections. You can practice one section at a time, and then that way your prep time goes down. You can chunk it into smaller pieces. You can do it throughout the day and still feel confident. Now, the other piece is if your speaker time changes suddenly, which any pro speaker will tell you, this absolutely happens in the industry. You had 60 minutes, now you got 40 because the last person ran long. Now you have your 4 bullets and you say, you know what, bullet 3 is the one I prep to pull out if needed. I pull out bullet 3, I've got my 3 bullets, my key point, and I'm ready to rock. So this is a way you can improve the quality of your speaking, get rid of your notes, practice more efficiently and effectively, and when you memorize these things better, you're able to lean into the emotion of the story and connect with the audience more. So when you prepare in this way, you're able to be there for them. You're able to be there for the audience, and that's what you're doing as a speaker. You're there to provide them value and give them something that they need, want, or didn't even know they needed. So I hope this message was of value for you today, and I hope you enjoyed this, and please share it out with your friends and following if it was something beneficial for you. And if you'd like help prepping your speech, getting consistent on preparing for it, or on working towards any of your other goals, I'd love for you to check out the Most Productive Hour Accountability Group, which you can check out in the link in the comments below, or by visiting overcominggraduation.com/MPH, like miles per hour, but it's Most Productive Hour. So that's overcominggraduation.com/MPH. In this group, it's a daily accountability group I created to help people stay on track, get clear, have motivation, be connected with a like-minded group, and get more done in less time. So if that sounds like something of interest to you, I'd love to see you on the inside. And that's all for today. Thanks for watching. I love you all, and I'll talk to you again real soon.